All right, let's go.
We are back. We are back in beautiful downtown Detroit on a sunny June evening. My birthday was yesterday. I'm
Happy
feeling
birthday,
old,
Joe.
feeling good.
Happy birthday.
Didn't hear that
Appreciate
one.
it.
Yep.
Jeez.
We're going to introduce this fine-looking young man in a second, but we would like to tell you that this episode of the Ordinary Legends podcast is brought to you by, Danny Ryan and the Best Life and Company
Let's go.
Realty. Whether you're buying your first home, upgrading, downsizing, or just curious what your home is worth, this guy, Danny Ryan, is the guy to call. No doubt. I would call you, Danny. No doubt. If I ever sell my house or I'm buying a new house, you
know, I
bet your
appreciate
life
you.
I'm calling
I'll get
you
you
Danny.
top dollar too. You know that, right?
Of course. Danny gets you top dollar with local expertise, which you have, honest advice, which you give, and commitment to helping clients every single step of the way. The other night I'm over his house. He had to step out for hour, 45 minutes to explain the process with a client. I'm sure that, we missed you, but obviously you had to do what you had to do. Danny makes the real estate process, Father, simple and stress-free. If you're ready to make your next move, contact Danny Ryan and Best Life & Co. Realty today and start living your best life. The only problem is in this ad, the stupid ad. I keep forgetting your phone number.
That's all right.
Can you?
remember it?
Yeah, why don't you just give it out?
Should we give it one more time?
Yeah, one
for the
more
people?
time.
Here,
Let me write it down.
Ready? 586. Mark, you put up there 713-3355.
Wait, hold on.
586.
586-713-3355.
You got it.
It's 586-713-3355.
Thank you, Joe. You need a house. You need to sell your house. I got you.
You got it. You know what? You're the man for the job, Danny, and I appreciate that. Thank you for sponsoring the podcast.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
So, little spring cleanup before we introduce our next guest. If you follow us on social media, you know that the washer and dryer were delivered to the firehouse. Engine 50,
31?
ladder.
31?
God, I
Dang,
wish
we
you know this.
always
Either
mess up our
way,
ladder.
Houston Whittier, the boys at Houston Whittier
Yeah.
Fire Engine 50. I know that.
Yep.
Awesome guys. Couldn't have been
Got the text
more
today.
appreciative.
They're both working.
They're both up and running. Thanks to Dr. Louie. Thanks to Guardian Recovery Services. Ben over there. Just unbelievable. A total team effort from top to bottom. And it was guest on guest, guest helping another guest. And these guys got a working washer and dryer. And we went through the whole house. Awesome. What badasses they are every day doing what they do. Can't thank them enough. And we're just happy to help for sure.
Yeah, man. That was fun. No, well said, Joe. I thought that was well said. That's who would ever thought doing a podcast and you're able to help out these firefighters in Detroit? That came out of nowhere. And to me, I was having a conversation with Marky the other day, and it's looking back on that is really, really cool.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, because we do have some children listening to this episode today. So we're going to keep it PG, but man, do we have a great one today. We really do. And before I talk about our guests, I want to say this. And this is one of the things I love of what we do is for the hour and a half that we get to do this, I finally find myself present. I'm not worried about something. I'm not checking my phone. We had the conversation downstairs. I'm not distracted, present. And it's such a fun thing to be present in a conversation and being able to do what we do, Joey. We've how many guests have we had so far?
This is episode 16.
16. So 16 people of just think of the different spectrums of where they are on the life and learning about who they are and what drives them. I love about this is why we're the Ordinary Legends.
Why we do what we do. It's why we do what we do.
So today's guest, this one I'm so excited about. This gentleman became a priest at 60 years old. And, what I'm excited to hear is the trials, the tribulations, sacrificing your life for the greater good, for
Christ.
And then just questions I feel like most people want to ask priests, but maybe there's just that guardrail that kind of stops you, or you don't have that opportunity. Well, today we do. And Father Bob, I'm grateful for you to join our show. I'm grateful that you're able to do this. And sorry if we have any dumb questions, but there'll be a few of them. I promise you that. But I feel like a lot of people are just naturally curious what you guys do and what you struggle with and what you love. And so, without further ado, today's guest on the Ordinary Legends, Father Bob.
Father Bob Voiland.
Bob.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Father Bob. Most people spend their lives trying to figure out what they're supposed to do in life, right?
Right.
I want to be an astronaut. I want to be. You became a priest around the age of 60. I think that's fascinating in its own right. What happened in your life that made you realize God was calling you to become a priest?
Just one comment with Danny, just what he said about dumb questions. One thing early on in high school, this was in my electronics class, so I got an electricity background. The teacher said, no dumb questions.
Okay.
If you're honest, and if you really want to know the answer to the question, as long as you're not playing somebody, every question should be asked. So nothing dumb, nothing.
Nice.
I appreciate that now.
No, it's really true. I mean, it's something I had to learn. And
I was telling Joey,
feel better now?
I was a little nervous coming in here. Just I don't know why, but I appreciate that, Father. I really do.
It's just super true. For me, I think the late in life thing was, I've been Catholic. I was in the church all my life. Lived it. All these years. Thank God for my parents. They were faithful the way they lived it. We were never really. We weren't like levitating above the ground all our lives, with our hands folded and all that stuff. But we lived the faith, did our thing. But I think at that point, I've been single all my life. I never married or anything. There were opportunities and all that stuff. Never married, but wanted to kind of give myself more, I think, to the church. I was falling in love with it at that point. And you got to think about it. I mean, the whole thing came into my head. I'm 53 years old because I had 7 years of schooling, of seminary. That was a trip in itself, even getting my head wrapped back into being able to think again. It all really came down, I think, to a matter of wanting to commit myself in a deeper way to something that I was falling in love with. And I was thinking, and interrupt me if it gets boring.
No.
There's one of the positions in the church is a deacon, a permanent deacon, who isn't quite to the level of a priest, but there's a commitment with being a deacon. Deacons can be married and all that stuff. Even though I didn't plan on marrying, I was thinking it's so late in the game. I thought maybe I'll be a deacon, give that a shot, and just even to look into it. So I mentioned it to a couple of priests, and they said, "Well, why don't you be a priest?" And I said, "Yeah, right, sure." And it was I just thought it was laughable, really.
Right,
where I was at, it's like no. They said, "No, really, think about this." So here I am, after talking it through, and finding out kind of what God wanted for me ultimately. But I think to answer your question, it kind of went back to wanting to commit myself more to something that I really loved. And I would compare it really to marriage. I mean, you fall in love with a woman in your guy's case, or a woman falls in love with a man. You want to give yourself to that person in some way.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of what's behind it.
7 years, that's how long it takes for someone to... You're like a doctor.
It's like the general
PhD
course.
The
general course for a priest is 7 or 8 years.
Wow.
And there was actually just a recent change, and I'm not sure. I think this added a year. It would be 9 years for a guy at this point.
Wow.
It's like a preparatory year where they're just trying to have a guy, rather than going right into studies right away, he goes into a period of kind of just working in the church, being in the church to get a feel. It's like, all right, am I even kind of cut out for this or not? So you're not just kind of spinning your wheels and killing time, putting a lot of investment in your life. If you go right into a big academic thing right away and you just kind of get buried in that, you might never even really have figured out if this is what I really wanted to do or not.
So, Father, you never just had like one, like calling, one moment. For you is more of like, you kind of had this and you kind of started falling more in love,
Yeah.
And you actually did it. In the process of you becoming a priest during those 7 years, did anything scare you about becoming a priest? Were you ever like nervous as you're transitioning to become
the whole process of formation? Because the whole seminary, it's not something when you don't just decide you're going to be a priest and they go, all right, I'll go do the training and then I'll be one. That's not what it's about. Priesthood, or like if you're going to be a religious sister or somebody like that, and even really, in all honesty, even vocations like being medical, like doctors, nurses, teachers, they're really vocations because you got to figure out, is this what I'm really cut out for? Is this for real?
Mm-hmm.
So that whole deal with me and the whole experience of seminary, you're being formed. So in that whole process, part of the process, and this is kind of like expected when you're dealing with your formators, your teachers, your professors, instructors, if you're talking about being ordained, you always kind of preface it with, if I'm ordained, if the church ordains me, if the bishop ordains me, if you, God, really want me to do this, there's always that if part. So there's kind of a built-in fear in a way with it. And I don't know if it's not so much a fear, but it's a question, because you realize I'm really laying myself on the line here. This is like, I'm really giving myself to this. And if I'm not really giving myself to this, I need to bail. I need to get out. I shouldn't be doing this. Because if you go through it, especially if I'm old. I'm this old dog at this point. come into this point. But if you're a young dude and you think I'm called, you're saying like with the priest, is I'm not going to get married. I'm not going to have a family. My family's going to be my parish. Am I serious about this?
Yeah.
Because you're really committing in that way. So that's that whole idea of asking through, like for me, it was 7 years of, and you can, depending on when a guy starts, if a guy starts, if he already has like a bachelor's degree or something, you could do it in 6, pretty readily. When I was starting, I did not have a 4-year degree when I had associate's degrees when I started. I didn't have a 4-year degree when I started. So I had to get, I worked on my philosophy degree here in Detroit. I ended up doing my theology schooling out in Boston at a old guy seminary, if you will. It's a second vocation seminary. We can talk
You're
more
probably
about
the
that
best looking old guy there, man.
Well, no, it was that was an interesting place too in itself.
How so?
The guys, like I say, it's Pope St. John the 23rd. It's a national seminary, and these guys were from all over the country. And they were guys that had lived life and felt a calling like I did, way far in. I'm going to say the average age was like early 40s when I was there. I was kind of really one of the oldest dogs on the block. When I started there, I was 57 because I had already had 3 years here in Detroit. But I mean, there was like 3 dentists there when I was there.
Wow.
There was a retired military West Point guy. So and these really good engineers, teachers, guys who, I mean, really were good at what they did, but they felt called. I mean, and here they were. Huh? Yeah.
And during those 7 years, last question, I'll pass it on to you, Joe. You never felt like quitting. Maybe quitting's not the right word. You never felt like, I made a mistake here.
Where I think probably where that hit me the most was part of when you get into religion and all that stuff. People start talking about their spiritualities, and there's all these different. It's like even the word in itself is like spirituality. What does that mean? Is people were talking about, yeah. Are they like when you talked about like when did you feel called? Some people say like, yeah, I knew when I was 5 years old. I knew I was supposed to be a priest. That was not my deal. But they would speak about their spiritual life and the way that they maybe had a real devotion to a certain saint or living their faith in a certain way. And I felt like I'm thinking like, all right, I'm not getting this here. Because I was an electrician. I mean, I was loved my family. I loved the faith and everything. But as far as feeling like some kind of really holy, it's like I did not feel this. So when people would be talking about these spiritualities and these experiences of spirituality that they had, I felt like, all right, I'm missing something here. So that kind of freaked me out a little bit, to where it's like, all right, am I supposed to be feeling this?
Yeah.
Because if I am, I'm not, and maybe this is not a good thing. But I got past that.
Well, I'm glad you did.
For our sake.
So because here we are.
Yeah.
So you spoke on it a little bit. Tell me about what life was like before priest. Like, how'd you grow up? Where'd you grow up?
Grew up and I got a brother and 5 sisters. Mom and dad, family, all connected. Love each other, connected to each other. And I mean the growing up part.
And you're from Metro Detroit.
Yeah. Grew up in Mount Clemens. Still still connected in that area. So, right now it's St. John's and St. Clair Shores.
That's not far.
No. So it's, pretty good. It's interesting thing, like with St. Clair Shores, I knew where St. Clair Shores was, but after you're in the parish, then you really know it.
Yeah.
Before then, you don't really know what the deal is. But, grew up with family, we're tight. I was the second youngest in the gang. There's 5 years between me and my next oldest sister. So me and my younger sister were basically my Martha, like where they come from.
Yeah.
But all good on that. I mean, my thought growing up was I liked electricity since I was like a little kid. So I started out going into electrical engineering. I ended up transitioning into the trades, into being an industrial electrician, worked for GM. Loved it and still love that kind of work.
How long did you work for GM?
I retired 30 years.
Gosh.
Wow.
Yeah. I had 30 years at that place.
Lived 30 years.
Yeah.
Gosh.
That's incredible.
And that's kind of a weird thing. I mean, because the thing is and when you talk about like a calling, you think like, all right, I did my thing, and you could easily bail and just kind of drift off into the sunset.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
You retire
for sure.
on a boat somewhere?
Yeah. But it just wasn't.
You
It
wanted
was that
something more.
thing. It
You
was
wanted
that.
something more.
Well, it was that feeling. It's like I can't just like stop here. It's like you got to give yourself.
Were you
more.
always like religious as a little like as a kid? Were you always very?
I mean, I did what you did as a
spiritual?
Catholic. I
Yeah.
mean, we always went to church.
Okay.
Always went to church. And I actually, that part, I mean, I liked that. I mean, it was just, we were brought up, that's an expectation. I would have felt weird not going to church on Sunday. I just wouldn't. But I mean, I did stuff in church. I mean, I was a lector and helped with Eucharistic minister and just different things, helped with different groups in church and all that stuff. But as far as like being like really religious,
It was-
no,
yeah.
I'm not, I wouldn't say that. No.
So for me, when I think priest, I think like Sunday Mass, Christmas, Easter. For those that don't know, like me, what does an average week look like for you? Like it's not just Mass. I'm sure you're doing other stuff.
Right.
What does a priest do?
Right.
That maybe like what does a typical week look like?
It's
for
not
you?
just Sunday Mass. It's
Right.
not just Christmas and Easter. You have a daily. You're busy all the time.
I'm
Yeah.
curious what else do you do besides Mass?
Well, I mean, an expectation of a priest is that you celebrate Mass every day, one way or another.
Oh,
Even if you're not like the main guy, even if you celebrate it in private, like if you're on vacation, you're still expected to celebrate Mass, even by yourself. when you're on
Every
vacation.
day?
Every day. That's an expectation
know
of
that?
us. So we're offering Mass. That's because we're a priest, and what priests do is offer sacrifice. That's what the Mass is about. Is entering back into that Jesus giving Himself in the way that He did at Mass. There's that, and part of it has a little bit of a bearing on who the priest is, what your gifts are, and where you're drawn. I like dealing one-on-one with people. A lot of people got a lot of things going on in their lives, and if you can be somebody to be there to talk to somebody, to hear their stories, to try to be Christ to them in some way, let them know that Christ wants good for them and loves them.
yeah.
That's a big part of it. And if you can be that person, some guys they're more into that than others. Some priests are more the celebrating the Mass, the doing, having your appointment, maybe not so much into appointments, but running a parish, for instance. There's a lot of administrative aspects to
Yeah, we
running
were
a
talking
parish.
about that
Just
earlier.
that in itself.
Yeah.
It can be overwhelming. You could give yourself all to that and then kind of abandon the family in the process too. So you get a big mix there. But I mean, for me, like a day is get up, Mass is at 7:00 at St. John's, which is like, man, it's just in my life that's early. 7's early. It's like, how could you do this? But anyway, all good. You get up, you celebrate Mass. We have to pray. We are expected to pray the office, the divine office. There's prayers 5 times a day.
Wow.
That are
okay.
expected us to pray.
It's like a Muslim.
Yeah, and there's actually 7 prayer hours. We're obligated to do 5 of them. 5 of them.
Really?
So there's like morning prayer. There's the office, which is there's some readings that are part of that. And I'll try not to bore you too much with this. Part.
Go ahead. I'm curious.
But like say morning prayer, evening prayer. The office can be read and prayed anytime during the day, but that has readings in it from the church. Either there's a reading from Scripture, and then there's also a reading in it from like the church fathers, the early church leaders. I find that to be the best part of the whole thing for me. Not to denigrate the others, but those
Of course.
especially those early church readings. That's one thing. Just to kind of go off on a little bit of a tangent for a minute. That's one thing that, like in seminary, that really blew my mind was they talk about the patriarchs, the fathers of the church, and the writings that we have from them now are absolutely mind blowing. They are so pertinent to the world that we live in right now. If anybody, because we have all these world questions like how do you live life and all this stuff and blah 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 blah. It's like this stuff has all been answered.
Yeah.
And it's like brilliantly answered and clearly answered. So anyway, I really like that part of it. Then so the office, morning and evening prayer, and then you also have a midday prayer as well, and then night prayer before you go to bed this night.
When you say prayer, I mean, is it a set readings that you read, or is it something just you communicate with God yourself? You're just praying for a certain reason devoted to that time of day?
These prayers are set.
Okay.
They're in a book. And a lot of the prayers involve the Psalms. You pray some Psalms. There's, intentions, prayers of the faithful, that you pray. But it is rigidly prescribed for you. That is. Then you say Mass. But then there's, for me, you got to get to a point of prayer where you're kind of sitting back and really just talking to God.
To God.
Because sometimes the praying that's called the office when you're praying the set of prayers, the 5 or 7 prayers, whatever it is. It can wear on you. It's like, all right, it's
Right.
like you're tired. You got 8,000 things other going on. Going on. Somebody's calling you. You got appointments. You need to go somewhere. You need to go bless a house. You need to go anoint somebody who's sick in the hospital. You need to go to their house. People. There's a lot of this. There's a lot of need for people who are sick and just need a priest says, I got to talk to you.
Are you getting a lot of those calls where you get calls and like, Father Bob, I need you to anoint some. Anointing is when someone is sick. They
Right.
ask for you to do a prayer for them. Is that what?
Yeah,
that
It's
is?
on their deathbed, right? Anointing of the sick.
It's not. No, it used to be always deathbed thing.
Oh.
It used to be called extreme unction, which is Latin for last anointing.
Okay.
And everybody, when that was first dealt with, people, it was always thought of as, it's like, all right, you're dying, the priest is coming. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
People
Right.
would say, like,
That's what I
leave.
envision.
I'm not ready to die. Go. That is not how the church sees it, and that's not how the church applies it now, thank God.
Yeah.
It's the anointing of the sick.
Okay.
So if a person's going in for like a major surgery, for instance, they can be anointed. If even as a person is aging and you're getting to the point where you realize, and it's like, man, I'm not who I used to be here, or you're transitioning into another part of life, you can be anointed then. If you have some kind of an illness, something like something mental disturbances that are going on, you can be anointed in those cases.
Let me touch
So that's
upon something, a question that I had with that. Okay. So before, the anointing of the sick generally was given to people who were on their deathbed, you said,
Right.
and that's how the church used to practice that.
Yeah.
Now they've transitioned into, like you said, at any point.
Major heart surgery.
Yeah, where anointing the sick. That's a change within the church that they've clearly made, correct?
Right.
How do you deal with those changes when, and I find this difficult as a Catholic, to where you're taught a certain way and then all of a sudden, oh, we're going to tweak this one rule to make it
Right.
fit us a little better in the society we live in today?
I think the best answer that I have for that is there wasn't a doctrinal
question, Joey.
change.
Thank you.
I mean, it is a good, because that's a thing that bugs people a lot,
That is
to be honest with you. It's like, well, how can you have changes in the church? And that's the thing, because a lot of people, well, I'll address that. There's a lot of things. It's like, well, what else are they going to change? Or why don't they
Exactly.
change this?
Yeah.
The thing is, with something like that, is that's not like a core doctrinal change of what that sacrament is, because we believe it's a sacrament instituted by Christ.
Sure.
So, but the application of that sacrament is where the church is making a distinction here. But the actual teaching of it, they're not saying, that it doesn't matter, or we're going to add another sacrament, or we're going to. I'm trying to think of how I could. There's not a fundamental change
I
that
get what you're
underlies
saying.
it.
I think that makes sense to anybody who's listening. Like, it's not, you're not saying, you're just applying it in a way where it kind of like benefits more people rather than just kind of tweaking a rule or a hard, something that's a line's drawn in the sand.
Yeah. And some of these things too, and I'm not a great church historian by any stretch. Somebody will be out going like, this isn't how it is, Father Bob. But some things, a lot of the things we're doing now are to get back more to how we did them in the early church, first century or two of the church, of how did they do this then? Because where it comes from, in St. James speaks about, and this is where this comes from, about, that's part of the prayer that we use is, if you're sick, call the priest and have them anoint you and pray over you. And it didn't say in there, do it when you're half dead or on the way out.
We just kind of evolved.
It kind of took
That's
on
how
that
we turned
life.
it on, yeah.
So now somebody will go like, no, that's not what it is. But that's my understanding of it. And I think that holds pretty solid.
Yeah.
I mean, I do know that stuff that we're doing where you might see it as a relaxation of rules. It's not so much a relaxation of it as getting back to really where we were. Is maybe we got a little too tight over time.
Right. Okay.
Father Bob, you made a comment and you said, different priests have different kind of skill sets. You kind of mentioned your skill set. You're really good with people. And I attest to that. I mean, he's so good with all the families at our parish. You're so personable for someone who, going up to you, talking to you, I feel very comfortable with. For you as a priest, what do you find the most rewarding part of being a priest? But then also I would say, what do you find maybe the hardest part about being a priest?
What's the biggest drag? No, I'm just kidding.
For one thing, thank you for that. I mean,
Yeah, of course. No, I
enjoy.
truly mean it.
I do.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
I do enjoy. I do enjoy being people, but I thank you for that. It's a good perception.
Yeah.
You're too kind. Thank you. I think for me, one thing you mentioned about doing the podcast is early on you said we're going to reach who we can reach, whoever it is, how many people it is. For me, I think that's a big part for me as a priest. It's like I'm not a numbers guy. And it's like you could probably have somebody say, I'm not going to go do this because there's not going to be enough people watching it. It's like, I don't care. It's if you can touch the people who the Lord is sending to you, then that's good. Then that's good. So for me, and I think probably one of the biggest things, celebrating Mass for one thing, actually celebrating Mass itself, there's like two things that are really huge for me. But celebrating Mass is mind-blowing for me that I'm even able or called to be able to do that. It's really beyond comprehension if you get into what is really happening there and to be allowed to be a part of that. Mind-blowing, absolutely stunning. But the other part is to be able to try to and hopefully bring people into that in some way, to be able to, because if you're into it and if you're living that and if you're honest with people, if they can at least see that in you, then they'll go like, all right, well, at least he's not full of crap, Yeah. It's like he's being honest.
Yeah, you're genuine.
Mm-hmm. And that, I mean, that will hopefully draw somebody in if they see that you're really invested. I'm not into telling people stories just to tell them stories or to make them. I'm telling them where I'm at. That's my whole deal with it. So to be able to like share my faith with somebody is a big deal.
Yeah.
I think that the biggest drag, I think,
or hardest part. I don't want to.
The hardest part.
I was just joking about it being a drag.
Well, you know what was? I'll tell you what what really stunned me is I was St. John's is my second parish. So I was out in Waterford at Our Lady of the Lakes first. I couldn't believe how hard it was to leave the people that I was with.
Right.
I knew that was part. I knew that was going in.
Yeah.
I knew that's part of priesthood, that they don't leave you in one place.
Create these relationships with these families.
Oh my gosh. It is really, really hard.
Yeah.
And it's something I never expected to be as hard as it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't even imagine because you're part of the community. You're
clearly he's invested. Like Father Bob, you're invested in the community. You're genuine. You can feel that, and that's why we have you on. You're that guy for us, in our parish at least. And I mean, absolutely, I can see how that would be just a horrible part about the business. There's bad parts about every business,
no matter what.
And that's and clearly a people person like Father Bob, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Where you invest and you see these kids grow up, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, we see you every day, thankfully, and these kids are coming up to you, giving you hugs, and they're like your kids.
Everyone,
like you said,
every one of them, they're like your kids.
My daughter feels that connection with you, and I know Danny's kids do as well.
Yep.
Speaking of daughters and kids, I got to shout out my daughter Gina on this podcast.
What's up, Gina?
She is
Casey,
dying
Alicia.
to give a shout out. Casey, Alicia,
Yep.
and Gina's shout out to them. They are so excited.
Too good.
They are.
Yeah.
We have questions ready for you, ready to go. We have they've created their own questions. I mean, there are a lot of people really looking forward to this, so we do appreciate that.
Love those kids.
Okay, so that makes sense. The hardest part is, you're a people person. That makes total sense. Is there anything that surprises you, that surprised you about being a priest? I know it might be a vague question, but like you didn't expect, where you're like, oh, this is a pleasant surprise, or maybe an unpleasant surprise, or I mean, if you don't have an answer, that I get it. That makes sense too. I mean,
one of the first surprises that I had, and it's not so much about being a priest, but getting to be a priest, was going into seminary. Mm-hmm. Is and this is not to denigrate other priests or to speak poorly of them, but just how I go into seminary and you're starting to meet these guys and you're going like, and I'm going like, you want to be a priest? It's like, really? Because you're realizing they're just like human beings. Yeah. And this is, and you're finding out this is how we all, and I'm speaking about myself too, because they're probably looking at me and go like, are you kidding me? You're like,
right.
You?
Yeah.
For real? But I think that's something that really surprised me, because I thought, and this is a thing, and it actually speaks not just about priests, but about the church in general. And this is something that I think would maybe gives people some comfort, is you go into the organization, you think like, they got this all figured out. It's like they've been doing this for 2,000 years, and it's like, this is where you get the real answers. And then you get in there and you realize it's like, these people have kind of, in many cases, have no clue what's going on.
Right.
And I don't mean that in a definitive way. Of
course.
I mean,
I know.
as far as the teachings of the church, I'm all in.
kind of like our podcast. We have no idea what we're doing.
Well, yeah.
We're rolling dice here, Father.
But you're dealing with a bunch of human beings.
You think we do, but we don't.
Yeah.
But it's a bunch of human beings, and you realize it's like, half the time you're going like, you could be into something, you go like, you're absolutely clueless here. No, you're not. And And it's like, yeah, I guess you should be because you're just a human being like everybody else. But it's all the way up through the works of the church. And that was kind of a shock to me because I thought, like, as you get into the bowels of it, you can go like, all right, they got it all figured out.
Yeah.
Church and religion is messy. Good messy. But but the whole point is to go into it and expect it to be like perfect going in, or for a person to like be involved in the church or come into religion and to think, even if you look at what's like if you're coming in to see what Catholics are about, is you go like, man, these people are like out of their minds. But no, it's just messy. It's just like a really messy thing to do, but it's a really good thing to do when you realize we're on the right path. We're going in the right direction, but it ain't easy.
It ain't easy, and it's messy.
So, yeah.
Have you ever felt your faith ever get challenged before? Do you, as a priest, do they ever question, or do you feel you ever had to question your faith as a priest ever?
For me, I'm a rationalist, and this is, I mean, stuff needs to make sense to me. So it's like, even faith, when you talk about questioning your faith, faith makes sense to me. That was like a really cool part about, I did my philosophy degree here at Sacred Heart. And philosophy was like, I'm growing up, as an electrician, everything's like A to B to C. It's all linear. It all makes sense. Everything's fine. You get into philosophy and it's like coming at you from every direction. I'm like, whoa, this is an entirely different way of thinking. But as I got into it and I started wrapping my head around it, I loved it. Because where it hit me is it took my rationality to a point where I realized that faith is necessary. I can only go so far with my own rationality. It made me realize my limits. So, as far as my faith being shaken, I've only honestly gone deeper into it. There's times that we always have doubts. It's always proper and understandable to have doubts. Like, you can be doing something and go like, man, is this like for real? Or I can even wake up one day and go like, Lord, is this really what you want me doing? Am I doing what you want me to do? Am I doing it in the way that you want me to do it? But as far as my faith goes, I'm more invested as the days go by. I'm more and more. It's like, if this isn't it, then I'm just up a creek, man. I'm not going to, because I got everything in.
Yeah, you're
it's
kind of screwed that way.
Yeah, I'm just plain out screwed.
That's
You're right.
well said. Well said.
Is there anything funny that's ever happened during Mass? Like, while you said you love celebrating Mass, is there anything ever like where you had like a total screw up or something like?
I'm humbled regularly. I pray for humility, and in every possible way. It's almost like if anything could have gone wrong. Now, it's not always detected, but if anything could go wrong, I've probably screwed it up at one time or another. I literally, in 5 years, I've managed to
just like say the wrong prayer at the wrong time, or
missing stuff. Like
you know what I find it funny is priests who have to sing during Mass, which you all do. And
you
it's
all
like
have beautiful voices.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute.
Do they teach you how to sing?
Not only are you like
you
a
have
priest,
a beautiful
you got all
voice.
this responsibility.
Father Bob's got a beautiful
now
voice.
You got some pipes on
you. You can sing.
Yeah.
All priests can sing. Maybe I'm wrong, but you have a...
In the name of the Father. It's a chance. It's a chance.
Right.
Love it.
It's that, and that's not always across. There's some priests that are like, I'm not singing because it'll sound like you're letting the cats out. It's like, that's just, only by the grace of God I can half carry a tune. But I always just pray. It's like, don't chase people out of the church, But,
you do a great job. Trust me. I want to get into marriage, family, sacrifice, that kind of thing, if that's okay with you.
That's totally fine.
Do you ever wish you would have gotten married and had kids?
I think I could have been like a good dad, a good father and a good dad, because I love them. The only thing I can say about that is I had opportunities to be married, and I wasn't, and I didn't. And all I can say is that all happened for a reason.
I was going to say maybe that was God's way of calling.
And I really do think that, because the other thing is I could kick myself and say, it's like, why do you wait till you're 53 to even start thinking about being a priest?
Yeah.
And you really could kick yourself and say, you could have got a lot of work done here, pal. But I do think that bringing my life experience to it has its own uniqueness, and it serves its own purpose, does its own thing.
Was that difficult though? Like, was there ever a point where you were on the fence type thing? Well, I guess at 53, you're probably past the point of having kids. And all that.
It really. I was worrying.
Like you could pull a lot of young girls.
You know what? Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, all right. We got to keep this truthful. So the thing is, I think the thing I was concerned about actually getting selfish, because the thing is the older you get, the more there are deal breakers. It's like you see a woman, you go like, all right, like I like her butt. It's like, nah, I won't do it. As you get older, it's like more and more of that stuff. It's like, nah, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
So you kind of get more to a point of selfishness as you grow older. You become less flexible. You just do. But then really to that point, and to answer a little bit better, really, I really do. My parish, my family, they really are my family.
Right.
And I'm able to give myself in that way, and it means a lot to me to do that.
Yeah.
So that's a consolation for me.
And you do, and it does show.
We feel it.
We feel it for sure.
Member of the
it shows
parish.
through. Yeah. I mean, like I said, we walk our
I'm not
kids to
speaking
school
for
every
everybody,
day.
But I feel very
Yeah.
confident saying every
and
member
these
of the
kids are
parish
running
love-
up to you, hugging you every day. I mean, fist bumping. It's really something cool to see, to be honest with you. You know,
That's
because
a gift. It's a blessing.
you don't get that relationship with priests a lot of the times. A lot of the times they're just, maybe it's a socially awkward thing, or maybe they're just people are, like we said, we're intimidated by them, or they're revered in a different way. But you're very approachable and very clearly, and our children and in our parish, people, adults alike, old people, young people, we all feel that from you, definitely. So that
to
is
that
definitely
point,
a
too.
compliment for sure.
And I appreciate that. I really do. And the thing with that too is there are guys, and priests who are, they're academics, they're scholars. They're brainiacs. They're people who can go deep into places that the church really needs. It's like, that's not me. I mean, I do what I can with what I've got, and everybody's got their own gifts, their own charism. So, and so I appreciate that. But the other thing is, if you're not built for that, you're not built for that.
Right.
Everybody's
that's
kind of
true.
got their own thing.
Yeah.
My question is, and again, sorry, but it's open and honest, is it's more about heaven. In my view of heaven, I see the pearly gates, I see these clouds, I see past family members. I would like to get a view of a priest's mind of what you envision heaven looks like. Obviously the physical is, I don't know. But you can see what I'm going at.
Yeah.
Like I picture these clouds, I picture the pearly gates, I see past family members. How do priests picture heaven?
That's a very personal question.
Each one's different?
Each one's going to be different. I think every priest is going to give you a different answer. It would be my thought. Because all I can tell you is what Bob thinks.
Okay.
It's so.
Father Bob.
That's all. Father Bob. But that's the
And
only.
is that a too personal question to ask?
No,
you?
no, it's not. No, all I'm saying. No, it's not too personal at all.
Okay, good.
No, it's only personal in the sense that the answer you get is going to be really individualized to who you ask. I think it's a great question.
Okay.
But
Good question.
yeah, no, but for me, I go to, and it kind of goes to what you said earlier about like faith, is I'm at a point in my life where I'm coming to recognize more and more the mystery, and man, I'll try not to get like too stupid here, like the mystery and like the wonder of life, like to be alive, to be sitting here with you guys and be able to talk together, to be able to be these three human beings conversing with each other. That in itself blows my mind. That
really
we can be conscious and talk to each other right now.
Right.
But
Speak a language.
yeah, I mean, understand each other but audibly. How do we do this?
Right.
This is insane. How do
Yeah.
we do this? But that to me like draws me to like heaven, and this type of thing that we're talking about here is kind of going to explode into something that we can't even comprehend right now, because when we think about what we're doing here right now, we're going to be able to do that like exponentially and forever, growing deeper into it.
Gosh.
So it's because what it is, and I'm just stop me if it just sounds too stupid or incomprehensible.
All right.
But we're going when we get into heaven, we're becoming more and more united with God, with the mind of God, with who God is, and we're becoming more and more like Him, because we're moving into being divine. We're moving into not just being human beings. Because when we think about, it's like if you're a golfer, or if you're a football fan, or if you are a swimmer, it's like it's going to be like the perfect golf course on the perfect day, no wind, everything's perfect. The perfect game, everything is just right. And on a boat, you go out on the lake, and it's like, this is like, how does it get better than this? We think in those terms, but that, St. Paul talks about, and then scripturally, it's like we can't even comprehend of what heaven is like. Those things they're like a starter. It's like it'll be really good, but it's like we can't even get a grip at this point on how good it is. And for me, just to kind of put a little bit of a handle on it, is those types of things, the things that we're doing here right now. And like when we, loving, Jesus always talks about love being like at the core of everything. When you love your kids, when you love your daughters, your sons, when you love your wife, when you love your family, and when you want to just do something for them, just because you love them, not because you want something back from them, but because you just want this for them. That's a divine thing that you're doing. And we're going to enter into that kind of love infinitely.
Jeez.
And we're going to understand it more as time goes by. And you could go on forever about that.
No, I hope
That's
so.
beautiful.
I hope so.
God, that
God,
is beautiful.
That's
But it's really-
exciting.
That's so exciting.
But
If it's true,
beyond it's beyond our imaginations,
yeah.
which is
just can't.
which is just so cool in itself.
Yeah.
How do you convince someone who doesn't believe in God that God is real?
You can only go so far. There are actually just rational methods of explaining that there must be something that we'll call a God, small g, something that's beyond us. And this is just a philosophical discussion
Right, yeah.
that Aristotle proposed in the first place. There's these proofs of God that we have to, if you're a logical, rational person, will take you to a realization that there has to be something beyond us that is outside of ourselves, and that is the cause of all things, that itself was not caused. And again, that gets real boring right away. You go like, all right, I don't know what you're talking about.
But it makes
But
sense.
But the thing is you can rationally come to a place where you believe there's something that's not us, that's not human, for us to exist. And for me, and just on that, like really briefly, a thing for me that always kind of strikes me about that there has to be something that's not necessarily our personal God, but I'll mention that, but something that's a God, something that's beyond us. You look at the intricacy of things. You look at the way things are here. It's like, yeah, human beings put this all together and are making it go, have got it all going. But when you look at the way that the entirety of our existence is coordinated and works, it's like this doesn't just happen. Because if you don't believe that there's a God, if you don't believe that there's a cause, because everything we know is caused, and if you don't believe that there's an uncaused cause, then you have to say that this all happened by chance. This all just happened, and I go like, no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. So the point is, you can be drawn to a point where you have to acknowledge there's something beyond the human realm, and call it what you want. It can be,
The Matrix for all.
whatever it is. Yeah, the Matrix. Yeah, perfect word. To believe that there is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, that Jesus was God, all those things. Those are all things that are revealed to us. That I can't make you believe that, and I have no intent to make somebody believe that. I'm not going to go up in somebody's face and say, you need to believe in Jesus. It's like, I want you to believe in Jesus.
Yeah.
And I'd like to run through that with you, but you're an idiot if you go up to somebody and say, you need to believe in Jesus, and if you don't believe in Jesus, you're going to hell.
Yeah, good luck converting that
You can't
person.
make people do that.
I do have another question in regards to kind of piggyback off of Danny's question. So Danny talked about what's heaven like, that kind of thing. Well, on the flip side of that, what would hell be like?
I bounce around on that.
Not that I'm expecting. By the way, not that I'm expecting to go. Hell is like A, B, C,
Right.
D, and G. I mean,
Right. No, and I
but
get
what's
that.
your thoughts on that?
My thought, the one thing is that scripturally it talks about suffering in hell. They do literally talk about the fires of hell and all that stuff. Whether there is a literal fire, I don't know. There's people who say, Father Bob, if you want to really be a father, you need to say this, this, and this. My concept of hell is coming to the realization that you blew it, and that you walked away from the fullness of truth. You walked away from being who you fully could be as a human being. You walked away from because the point is because the thing is God says, God does not force himself on us, and he says, take me or leave me. We are free to do that or not. So when we say, I do not want you, he says, you're killing me, you're breaking my heart, but all right, that's on you. You can do that. When I die, and when I've given him up, and when I realize it's like, oh, he was for real. And it's when I realize what I've lost, there's some serious suffering there. When I realize that I've lost this forever, that I've made this eternal decision to say, I'm doing it on my own, that's not a good place to be. I even think about myself right now doing it on my own. That's, I'm this willful kind of a guy. I want to do stuff the way I want to do it and all this stuff. doesn't work out when I do stuff on, you can only do so much on your own.
Yeah.
But when you are eternally doing everything on your own, you're in a bad way. You're in a bad place. So, I mean, this sounds like a really kind of a mushy, soft, but my thing is when you recognize the depth of what that is at that point, that you are not going to be in union with God anymore, that you are not going to have access to him. You're not going to know what love is. You're not going to experience love because you've rejected.
It's like being alone in a field with.
Sounds awful.
It's like, and you're miserable, and you're with other beings that are miserable.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
That don't know what love is. And it's a really bad place to be.
Yeah.
Do you?
So that's the kind of the best I got.
That makes sense.
Do you believe in? You hear like haunted houses, ghosts, maybe angels. Like, do you, Father, believe in like ghosts or
spirits
or angels and coming down,
like mediums where they can communicate to,
or that too? That could be a separate.
Past, those kind of things.
Yeah, that stuff's all very real.
Is it?
Yeah, the spirit world, angels, demons, very real, very real.
Okay.
And there's really a huge growth in interaction where people are availing themselves of like to demonic influences, maybe unknowingly, but that stuff's very real. Mediums, yes. I mean, because the whole thing is if you are a human being who gives yourself to a spiritual entity to work with that entity, you open yourself up to that. You're opening yourself up to that, and that stuff can be very real.
So, have you seen or experienced an exorcism? Have you ever done one of those?
I've not.
Have you?
Exorcist. You have to be you have to be trained to be an exorcist.
Okay.
I've dealt with people who have had spiritual problems and stuff, and prayed for them, prayed with them, said some prayers over them. But actual exorcisms, you have to be given faculties. For a priest to do anything, you have to be given faculties, which is essentially you're given permission. You're assigned to, like for me to say mass, the bishop, the leader of the church in Detroit has to tell me you can say mass, and you can say it this many times a day. You can say confession. You can do marriages. I have to be given that ability.
Sounds kind of bossy now.
It is bossy. It's very bossy. The church is very hierarchical.
So there's spirits, evil, demonic energies among us.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely.
I'm going to keep you by my side.
But this is where if you are if you're in a good place with God, and if you have because we believe that when you're in a place of grace, when you have the Holy Spirit within you don't have to worry about this stuff. You can be agitated. This is where temptations come from in many cases.
Okay.
All of a sudden things fall in your lap and you go like, this is just what I need right now. It's like, yeah, a lot of this stuff can be placed in our place, in our way, through demonic influences and stuff.
Oh,
but you're covered. This is why we got to keep ourselves clean. You go to church, you receive the sacraments. You love, when you screw up, you go, and for Catholics, you go to confession. You tell Lord, it's like I blew it. It's like I'm sorry. You keep yourself clean in that way. You keep yourself in a state of grace. You don't have to worry about this stuff. It's out there, but you're already geared up for that battle.
All right, we are back.
Well,
Marky,
technical
our
difficulty.
beautiful producer, Marky DeMesa, has a question.
All right, so what was the question, Marky?
All right, so we're talking about ghosts and spirits, and I had heard at St. Joan of Arc Parish from Monsignor Mike that there was potentially ghosts in either the parish center or in the school, and the belief was that it was potentially some nuns or sisters that had passed away years ago that,
right.
Their spirits for whatever reason didn't want to leave Earth. They were still here, potentially protecting the children.
Right.
And so the story that Monsignor Mike had told was about, the system that they had in place at the school was for fire exits. They had kind of these old dated maps in each room of the school. Okay. And it kind of said, hey, here's what you need to do, the way you need to go if there's ever a fire or an incident. And so they had to get these new maps put in place or something. And Monsignor said there was this company hired. They had this really high-tech software that basically mapped out the entire school using sonar cameras or some crazy technology.
Right.
And he said that it worked in the entire school except this one area where potentially that these nuns or passed away sisters were.
Right.
And so, they tried it several times. And then after a while, the staff finally came to Monsignor Mike and said, hey, Monsignor, we're sorry. Like, we've gotten every room in the school except this one area.
Right.
We don't know what to tell you. It's just not working here.
It's not doing
and Monsignor kind of like laughed and chuckled to himself and shook his head. And they're like, well, what's up? He's like, you're going to think this is crazy. You're going to think this is crazy. But, we believe that there's some past spirits who are up there that haven't left the realm of earth, and go back up there. And I know this sounds crazy, but say, sisters, we're here. This is to protect the children. We're here to do this, on behalf of the kids, their protection in mind. And so they said, okay. So they went back here and they said their whole spiel. And within a minute and a half, all their stuff was operational. And they were able.
Come on.
They were able to.
Really?
And
Where was this? In the Parish Center?
And so the thing is, too, Monsignor's mentioned, he said over the years, people would say walking by, they would see like an elderly woman looking out the window, which there was no one there. This would be after hours. And so
Sister Marie Gregory, shout out.
Potentially, So I didn't know if, Father, if you had heard that story or what your thoughts were on it. But I remember hearing that and just being kind of blown away because I never knew that the Catholic Church acknowledged things like that.
No, I didn't hear about the company coming in. That is too cool.
That is wild.
I have every reason to believe that. Every reason to believe it. I really do. Part of that gets into, and this is where there are really people that I've been in 5 years in here. And people who have a really good knowledge.
It's amazing. Only 5 years.
Well, it's praise God that he's put up with me this long. but that is it's a very real, and I have every reason to believe that. What I do know about that is that it can be a very real thing. That there can be, souls that, for whatever reason, there can be souls that actually want to, depart and to be able to be like fully in heaven, or if you got to go to purgatory or wherever it is, that they can be impeded in some way, that there can be prayers offered, or that there maybe needs to be a release from a family or for somebody that they're staying for, that's able to say, it's like, we're good, you can go. Or, if that's the case, with the sisters, it's like, we're here to watch these kids and we're not going until we know that they're cared for. I can't give you a definitive answer on that, only because I'm just ignorant on that, fully on that. But to believe and acknowledge that kind of thing can happen, absolutely. Absolutely. Because the thing is if those things, and there's many things that happen that are, the paranormal, these things that are beyond us, that if we just keep denying these things, we can be imperiling ourselves in a way by not acknowledging that there's something out there that can have an influence on us or can influence the realm that we're in. It's real stuff. And it's something that we need to be aware of. And that's the thing where, like, to your point, Danny, is like for an exorcism or something like that, or if you needed, it's like, say you had a spirit that was really troublesome and just kind of causing havoc. This is where you would want an exorcist, someone who's trained in dealing with spirits. Especially if you're dealing with something, like if you're talking to sisters, you're talking about a benign, spiritual, a soul, that's there. So, we're good on that. It's like, you're freaking me out, sister here. You can go. We got this. But there are also entities where you have problems, that are violent or are really, really disruptive to an operation. This is where you need somebody who really knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And, I don't have, and that's, there has to be a training that comes with that. Generally, you train with an exorcist in order to become an exorcist. You have to, and again, man, I'd have to know more about that, but you have to be given permission to deal with that stuff at that level.
No, thank you.
Priests themselves, there are prayers that we can say for people that are having, as a priest. But like exorcism prayers, there are prayers and there are, procedures and things that just an exorcist can do. Somebody who's been given that facility to do that. But it's real.
Wild.
Well, it is. It is. But the thing is it's good to acknowledge and to be aware of. Because a lot, like if you're little and you're thinking like, oh man, it's like there's ghosts and stuff out there. If you're in good state with the Lord, you're good. You're fine.
Yeah.
The thing is to not avail yourself of this stuff. And these are things where people get into like, Ouija boards, tarot cards, going to fortune tellers. Oh, this is fun. We're going to go do this. Don't mess with this stuff. Because what we're doing, even ignorantly, what happens in those cases is we're opening ourselves up to something that we don't really know what it is, but we're giving it a way in. We're saying, hey, weird spirit, whatever it is. It's like, if you will do this for me, this will be really cool. We're giving that opening, and that is something we don't want to do because we're messing with something that is powerful. And once we allow that entry into our lives, we're imperiling ourselves. Then you got to get the stinking thing out. And that's where if you really, because there's people who really, out of just having a horrible life or whatever it is, they're really despondent, will really give themselves over to demonic entities. And that's where and possession, by the way, is very rare. It's still a very, actual possession itself, but we can be agitated.
What do you mean by possession?
Where you actually have, where there actually is a
inside of you?
demon within you that is infesting you and is actually controlling you in some way that you've given yourself over to it. That's a very, that's a very rare thing.
Oh, man.
But we can certainly be agitated. A lot of people. The kind of the most common thing is if say you mess with like Ouija boards or tarot cards, you regularly go to fortune tellers and that, or to a medium, and you allow these different type of spiritual things, to come into your life. These things can really start getting at you. Like if suddenly you want to start walking away, it's like, all right, this is getting too weird for me. These things can really agitate you at that point.
Yikes.
To where you need some prayers, you need to really be strengthened in order to get this stuff out of your life. But it is real. I mean, and again, it's not to freak us out, and it's not because we have a lot of kind of just the the storybook or the cartoon kind of things. There's a realness to this. There's a reality to this that we have to be careful of.
Yeah.
Wow.
Makes sense.
One more question, maybe then we'll head out to I'll have Joy talk
The
about
Ordinary Debates.
You ever heard of it? We probably have a lot of families listening, a lot of kids probably listening. Any words of faith, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, Father, I don't mean to, but any last moment thoughts of, about the power of prayer, the faith, and just trusting and believing and dedicating yourself for that, some of the families that might be listening or some of the kids that might be listening to this episode today. Any one last, maybe powerful message you could send to our parish, our community, to the kids that, or are you just like, come on, Danny, why are you putting me on the spot here?
I think my thing is that to say that is faith and prayer are real, that they're very real, and that they are worth our time, and they're worth giving ourselves to them, because we live in a world that tells us this is just all nonsense. This is just so much baloney. It's like, all you faith people, you're out of your minds. It's like, don't waste your time on that. Is that if you will be consistent with it, if we will actually pray and expect something from our prayer, if we'd be honest in our prayer, if we'll actually realize and give thought to the fact there is something beyond just this world that we're in, because we get sucked up into the world, and that's all we're thinking about is worlds. You got a phone in front of your face. That's all you're thinking about is the phone in front of your face. It's way beyond that. We've got eternity coming beyond us. So it's like, don't discount it or let faith be something that is so unimportant that you don't practice it. You need to work at it. You need to give time to it. We give time to phones, to sports, to our leisure and all that stuff. All good things, all good things. But faith takes work. I mean, it's a practice. So all I can say is stay at it. Do it,
that.
Whatever way you're moving.
Yeah,
by.
well said. And I got to get better at that myself, to be honest with you.
I still have a zillion more questions for Father Bob. We're not. Hopefully, you got a few more
good.
minutes here. But
Yeah, I'm good.
Let's while our great producer Marky's here. You want to read the ad or?
Yeah. So
What we do, and we're gonna let Marky read this one on the air today.
You want me to read?
Here's the envelope. But Danny has a few words to say.
yeah, we got, before we go into the Ordinary Debates, we got an ad from Bomarito's Bakery. The Ordinary Debates segment is brought to you by Bomarito's Bakery in St. Clair Shores. You ever heard of it? For over 90 years. 90 years?
No, 100.
100 years. Yeah, over 100 years,
100
Bomarito's
years.
has been serving Metro Detroit with incredible Italian bread, world-famous salmon subs, pizza, pastries, cookies, cannoli, and so much more. I just had their Italian sub the other day. I get the mild peppers, so good. Whether you're stopping in for lunch or picking up desserts for a special occasion, Bomarito's Bakery is a local favorite for a reason. Visit them at bomaritosbakery.com or give them a call at 586-772-6731. Bomarito's Bakery, Mac Ave, and St. Clair Shores, where tradition, quality, and great food come together.
Father, are you?
Yeah, great stuff.
What's your go-to there? I mean, just a sub or?
Well, I mean, subs. I'm an Italian bread guy, so I mean, Italian
good.
bread's great.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's just
That sesame seed on there.
you got
You gotta have the sesame seed.
Forget about it.
You ever had the?
Yeah.
You ever had the sfingiuni?
No,
It's like the Sicilian pizza. What about the muffaletta? It's like where the crust is on the top and the bottom, and
yeah.
it's like a ham sandwich in between.
yeah,
Phenomenal there.
Yeah.
What else
I
they
had
got?
actually
Lemon
that.
ice.
yep.
Italian lemon ice,
Yep. Yep.
chocolate chip
Fresh
cookies
filled
are solid.
Oh yeah, they're cannoli.
Cannoli.
Yeah.
You want to explain to Father Bob what we got going on here, Joey? You're
Well,
so good at it.
in that envelope right there that our beautiful producer Mark DeMaso is holding or is setting on his chair, inside there is a question. We don't know what that question is.
Okay.
It's more of a question that's up for debate. We call it the ordinary debates. Nice T-shirt, by the
Great
way.
t-shirt.
I haven't complimented you on
pops.
that too. I mean, it looks great on you. It fits you good. Nice you too,
Oh,
Danny.
wait a minute, Joey. You
We
too?
match.
Man,
Nice,
look at
Marky.
that.
Nice hat.
Nice,
Yeah.
get the hat.
There you go.
Regardless, it's to fuel a debate.
Okay.
And we're just going to let Mark take it away. He's going to open it up. We don't know what's in there. And
happens,
you got to pick
happens.
one side. You got to die
want
on the
to-
hill, so to speak. And
Okay.
I don't really need to open it. I know the question that's in there. So.
come on, you don't know what it is, do you? Who made Randy made that question?
We're rolling.
Back after some technical difficulties. Mark
Gotta go to the
DeMaso.
bathroom too.
All right, we're back. So this week, the question I have prepared, and as you guys know, I like to keep it contextual depending on who we have as a guest. So this week, it's the legendary three. The top three hardest things to give up for Lent.
Oh, that's a great question.
And it could be something you've given up. It could be something you heard about that your friend gave up.
I thought you were going to make us debate between the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. But,
That was second, yeah.
Oh God, this is on the
Gotta go-
spot.
yeah.
For me personally, so
because, I mean, everybody's different, right? So,
I know mine.
well, cereal for one.
Well, I don't know if I've ever given up cereal.
Yeah, well,
That'd
could
be a
you?
good one.
Could you? I don't think
I
so.
love cereal, Father Bob.
Yeah,
It's-
really.
Are you a cereal guy?
I am.
Are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. What
Yeah.
are we rocking with? What kind of cereal?
I'm more like not the super sweet stuff,
Yeah.
but like
Give me some brand names.
I mean like Cheerios, mini wheats.
So Cheerios are good, but I need like bananas in my Cheerios.
Oh, I put fruit and stuff.
Yeah.
In. Yeah, bananas in the Cheerios for
What
sure.
kind of fruit do you put in?
Rice Krispies, I like bananas in too.
yeah, those are
Like
so
them.
yeah.
Chex, bananas, raspberries.
Are you a big foodie in general, or just kind of
Nah, I just gotta
you just
Pre-
survive?
Priests give up things for Lent, right? Like that's common. Like, or is
try.
it just us common?
We're supposed
folk?
to.
Is
No,
that
we're
common folk?
supposed to be.
So Marky, for me, one year I did cheese, and like
Cheese is on
Sandwich,
everything, too. That's
goldfish, Doritos. I mean, think how much stuff is cheese is in. Like anything that was like the hardest thing. I
Oh,
think
so
I
you
did.
you
Mac
went
and
hard and you
cheese.
gave up nacho cheese
I've done,
Doritos.
I've done coffee. Cheese was harder.
Yeah,
Think of like what's on a
Gosh.
sandwich. Cheese.
yeah. Cheese
Doritos,
is
goldfish,
tough one.
snacks. I mean,
So what are your top
And
three?
that would be hard. Wow.
I would say cheese, coffee would be number 2,
Cereal.
and then I would go.
Could you give up cereal for 40
Well, not
days?
for Father Bob. I'm going to do it this Lent. I'm going to do it.
do it right now. You're just gonna go on a fast.
I want to
Committing
go. How you described heaven? I want to go there.
Yeah, gosh, this is a hard question because I don't even know if I could. I would say meat would be one of them, just in general. If you just went straight meat for 40 days, because Fridays seems to be tough at times, which it really isn't. But I do go on quarterly fast for my diet. So giving up food in general, has
For me,
become
it was
a little bit.
food.
Gosh, meat. What I would say spindrifts. Right here, this would be tough for me. I drink about
That's
3
his
of these a
go-to.
day.
It's a
Non-alcoholic. They're just lemon water. Man, what? I'm just trying to think of something I consistently eat, or which I don't have. Maybe like going out to see for Lent. Going out to eat would be another one where it would be very difficult to eat in at home for 40 straight days. I personally like to give up things, maybe not material things, but I like to say I don't want to swear for 40 days, or I would like to be
Right.
kind to somebody, go the extra mile one time a day at minimum for 40 straight days. Those kind of things, those challenges appeal to me a little bit more than just giving, because there's aren't too many things. But I would say meat, spindrifts, and I don't know, going out to eat. How's that?
And then your three, you had
Mine was all foods, or coffee, drink, cheese.
Coffee would be tough.
And
Espresso,
what
there
was
we
your
go.
number 3?
Espresso would be tough.
Cereal.
Okay, and that's where you all right.
Yeah.
Father Bob.
Sweets in general I got this from my dad. I mean, like candy, dessert. I mean, I always have to give up candy. The problem is, what I need to do is actually give up anything sweet because it's like you can give up candy, but it's like, Well, although there is something
Is
about
brownie
that.
a candy? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
But sweets are really, really, really tough for me. Another thing I've tried to do, which is like almost impossible, is to not eat in between meals.
Oh,
That is like-
that's a good idea.
and like-
and that's tough.
Oh, and especially like before bed, like to have dinner be your last meal. I actually stink at that. I mean, I try
What
to
kind
do
of
that.
things is Father Bob chowing down out before bed? I'd love to know. Like, give me these
I-
pistachios.
everything.
I actually picture Father
beef
Bob as a
jerky.
popcorn guy. Are you a popcorn guy?
Some, but not a lot.
Okay.
Some, but not a lot. Cookies, sweet,
Oh
like
wow! So you got a sweet tooth.
sweets, salt. You know, I like
Well, salt,
cheese.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
cheese curls and stuff.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I
Chips.
do love cheese. When you mentioned cheese, really, I've never really given up cheese, but I had to do that. It's like, oh, that's one of those things that kind of makes life worth living if you don't eat just to have cheese.
Sure.
What's
What's your favorite kind of like chip snack? Cheese curls?
I think cheese curls. I think. Yeah.
Is that the Cheetos cheese curl or the cheese puff?
I like the crunchy ones.
Yeah, like the
Yeah. I like crunchier stuff.
you like flaming hot?
No, I like that stuff, but my age,
Yeah.
I can't take spicy stuff as good as I
Yeah.
used to. I always like that stuff, but you got to start thinking old when you get to my
Yeah.
part of the world.
I eat Thai
sadly.
food like 5 times a week, so hopefully I'm
See,
building.
I love
up
that stuff, but
I'm building up a tolerance.
well, good. I mean, you got to.
Hopefully.
It's like my tolerance is like, don't eat it.
Yeah, I'm like
but-
you.
Yeah.
All right. So what do we have? We have sweets,
Sweets.
chips, snacks, eating between meals, and
Yeah, the not eating between meals.
this is swearing for you probably.
Yeah, right.
I got to tell you. I mean, when I was working in an auto plant,
Yeah.
it was endless.
Yeah. Of course.
Sure.
Now, the
Blue-collar?
one thing I did not do and drives me out of my mind is using the Lord's name in vain. Never did that, and that is something I fear for people that do that regularly. So, I mean, that's something I've gotten much better at.
I
It's
do
like-
have to get
it's
better
like,
at
I
you
gotta
know,
get better at that.
Yeah.
Well, you
not a
gotta
lot,
think
but I guess-
about-
Is gosh okay? Because you kind of are saying God, but
you gotta have something.
it's a little bit of discipline there. Yeah, I agree. That I mean,
Yeah, the
that's
Lord's
fair
name in
enough.
vain.
That's
You
something
don't
you
wanna
can
do that.
make a conscious effort at doing.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you, Father. I can't lie either. And I fail in that department.
It's
I'm
something-
I'm a GD guy sometimes.
You have to eliminate that.
I know.
I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you something I
Please.
tell people in confession on that. It's not just a matter of being disrespectful to God,
Which I am.
but it's a matter of being disrespectful to who you are as a son of God. Is that you have and think about this. Think about this.
That's a mortal sin, bro.
You have a dignity
You're right.
being a child of God. And he is your father, you are his son. When you use his name casually, in anger, whatever, just loosely, thoughtlessly, for whatever it is, you're kind of blowing him off. And so, I mean, there's that disrespect aspect of it, but you're also blowing yourself off. You're also saying it's like, this relationship doesn't really mean that much to me. It's like, God this and God that. Who cares about him? It's like, what do you mean who cares about him? He's like your father and you're his son. And the thing is if you can get that under control, if you can get better at that, and if you can eliminate it ultimately, it has a bearing on everything else that you do, anything else that you tend to, because you start feeling that dignity of who you are you go like, you know what? I have a dignity, a respect by being a child of God. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman.
I'm going to try.
Do.
My word.
I mean, it is
Clean it up, Joe.
I'm gonna gosh darn it from here on out. Is
It's-
gosh okay though?
Yeah.
Because I feel it's almost for me personally. I don't mean it in the derogatory sense or the disrespectful sense, but I can see how it is disrespectful whether I mean it or not.
But then to
I am
yourself
aware
as
of
a
that.
child, as the son
Yeah.
of-
But what
I told myself I
I'm
was
gonna
going to become
go.
a changed man. You're going to be coming out of here.
I am. I'm going to walk out. I will. And I
I'll
shook
become
on
better.
it. So that
Yep.
means I'm going to try. And I have friends that are listening right now that will hold me accountable to this, which you need that.
The thing to do with it is that's mostly a reflex. It's a habit.
It is.
And the thing to do with that is catch when you do this all in your head in like a microsecond, is you catch yourself and you go like, Lord, I'm sorry about that. Just be with me right now. Because the whole thing is there's something that sets us off that causes us to do that.
For sure. You
So
pinch
what
your
you do
finger,
is you
hit it.
train yourself into not doing that when that kind of stuff happens. Because if you catch yourself and you go like, Lord, just be with me right now, and you just do it in your head in an instant, when these things happen, that will be what you'll naturally do at one point. You'll go like, ugh. Instead of somebody cuts you off, and instead of like
I was
cursing
going to
them
say,
into the
what happens when
ground,
somebody cuts you off?
you go, Lord, it's like, I'd like to strangle that person right now, but you got to deal with something. You need to deal with it. But you invoke God in a good way. You
I
don't
could use that twice, 3 times a day.
I got to
for sure,
start
yeah.
doing that too.
Yeah.
But
All right.
it's really worth doing.
Okay, you
really
have
worth
my
it.
word. I'm on.
Because it
I'll be
affects
in the same boat.
Let's go.
it affects the way that you perceive yourself is a big thing. It's not it's not just God, but it's how you perceive yourself, and it makes you a better person.
God, I'm a schmohawk. I just did it. Lord be with me, please. Okay, do you mind if we
That
fire?
was well said, by the way.
Yeah.
Do you mind if we fire some rapid fire questions? I mean, I feel like we've
Run them.
Let's wrap it up and then end it.
yeah.
Let's go.
I thought that we got some emails on some questions that I thought would be fairly interesting, and this one was really a good one. Do you believe that God can forgive anyone? And if the question is, or the answer would be, the simple answer would be yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about someone truly evil like a Hitler or a Bin Laden? Do they still have a chance at redemption even after everything they've done?
If they were genuinely sorry, if they were genuinely contrite, if what they recognized that they had offended in the way that they had, and they were truly, truly, truly sorry, he would forgive.
Do they get sent to purgatory, which would be, a timeout, so to speak? Because Hitler, I don't think goes straight to heaven.
Generally speaking, I think you'd be talking a lot of time in purgatory.
Yeah. Okay.
Although
okay, go ahead, finish, please. Sorry.
You got to remember, in purgatory, we're talking about when you get out of the human realm, out of the earthly realm. When we talk about time, they refer to in the old books about days in purgatory and all those things. They're not days in the sense that we know what it's. They talk about duration. So there's a perception of this passing, but it's not quantified in exactly the same way that we understand it right now.
Okay. So, which I guess another personal question would be, like they say 144,000 are saved in Revelation. Does that technically only mean 144,000 are?
Well, but then there's also,
heaven?
but after that, there's also an uncountable mass of people that are referred to after that 144,000.
Okay.
So I mean, there's that 144,000, and again, a
like
scholar is going to be able to give you a real answer on that, as opposed to me. But that 144,000 is probably a grouping of people that are identified in a unique way. But that's not all that's saved.
Maybe like saints and special.
Yeah, I mean that would be probably a good analogy or a good identification for now. But somebody's going to scream and go like, "That's not what it is." But it's
this is off topic, kind of. But the government recently released like all these UFO sightings. Do you believe in like aliens or UFOs and stuff as a priest? Or
well,
is
that was a big thing, man. A guy a priest exorcist got kicked out for referring to it about making a connection between the demonic and UFOs. Totally just me.
Yeah.
It's not an impossibility, but you have to. My thought is that God created all things. I mean, and if you're talking about like parallel universes and all that stuff, that's not my sense. That's not given my limited knowledge, my limited experience, my capabilities. I would say that stuff, could easily have a demonic relation or a connection in some way. But is there, that's
so tough.
Man, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I'm not really concerned about it because the whole thing is where you get into that is like what if there are these, extraterrestrial beings. What are they? I mean, they've been created by God because everything has been created by God. Do they have a material being like we do? Man, I mean, that stuff's just way beyond my head.
Yeah. No, I totally get it.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's tough.
I'm not going to be a lot of use on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely believe in the.
That's all right. I mean, this is only putting you on the spot.
I was going to ask some dumb questions.
These are some tough questions here. I mean, you know what I mean? I get it. You can say you don't know. I mean, that makes total sense. I know we mentioned our daughters, and I know Casey and Alicia had a question, and I want to make sure we shout them out. I think we kind of already asked.
You did. Their question, and you did say this. This was earlier. They said, "Dad, what do you guys want to ask Father Bob? Ask him anything you want, obviously." And they're like, why did Father Bob become a priest, and how did he become a priest? Where there's two questions, and that's what you kind of touched on.
Yeah.
Why and how. So
shout out
that
to Alicia and Casey. Definitely,
Thank
they
you,
were
Joe.
excited.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And then Gina Morasso's question was, "What's your favorite thing about being a priest and going to church?" I mean, we think we kind of touched on.
Yeah,
that a little bit.
the connections with the family.
Saying mass is a big deal. Being able to actually say mass and have the parish family there, to be part of it with that. But being able, like with Gina, I mean, when you think about it, like that's a person, like to be able to share my faith with her means everything. Those experiences of being able to live something that's really deep with you, with people that is hopefully deep with them, or that they're learning about, that you can connect with them, means everything.
And you see it. I mean, you see the emotion, and you're going to make me cry because,
it shines through for sure. I mean, I wrote that down. I mean, you can clearly, you're touched by being a conduit back to your electrician,
Right.
a conduit to Christ. That clearly comes through, and this will come through on this podcast. That's what I'm going to take away from this interview, is that like how important that is, how special that is, and that's what makes you who you are, as what I know you as is Father Bob. And I don't know if we're ending on this note, but I don't have many other questions to ask you or anything like that. If there's anything, maybe we can possibly say a quick prayer and just kind of to our audience. And I think that's a fitting way to end it.
Before we do prayer, I just want to say thank you, Father Bob. I know you didn't have to do this. Us being curious at nature, this podcast, and just talking to people, like I said in the beginning, just different spectrums and getting different, views on life. And, you're part of our parish, and we love you, and you're so good with the kids. And
now you're one of our boys.
Yeah, now you're one of the boys. I'm just glad you were able
tomorrow.
to.
We'll see you this weekend.
We're really glad you were able to do this. You didn't have to, so thank you. Joy and I are very appreciative. And I learned a lot too.
I have one more question that I totally forgot. And I don't need numbers here, but do priests get paid?
Yeah, priests. It's the pay is roughly $30,000 a year.
Okay,
that's about. I mean, and I've not paid. There's little bumps as you get years.
Sure.
As you get years, but the thing is that you're provided housing.
Yeah.
There's medical coverage, which I'm easy on the archdiocese because I'm retired from GM, so I got that part covered in that. So there's the living that is provided for you. The pay's not huge, obviously.
Right.
But that's kind of the ballpark.
Vehicle? Do you get a vehicle, or do you have to pay for
insurance on the vehicle? But you have to get your own vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah, get your own vehicle. And there again,
is that why you're driving in a Porsche? Just kidding.
That's where our money's going to.
I don't think I have any other logistical questions. I mean, I'm sure I have a zillion questions, and maybe part 2 will come.
No, I took a lot from this, so I really did, Father. Like, I just kind of hearing your thoughts and views on and getting a better relationship with the Lord and Christ, and just using the GD word and in vain.
I'm out.
Just,
I'm done.
Yeah, you're
I don't know what
done.
you're
And so
it's tough to break. I'm just going to tell you, it's a tough thing to break.
I know.
I'm going to be walking out of here a changed man. I'll tell you that.
You will
have
not
some
hear me
respect for yourself, Joe.
That's right.
I'm going to find myself. I'll find myself, and I'll donate that money to a good cause. How's that?
Yeah, do it.
Fair? If you hear me, you hold me accountable.
Donate to the church.
Done.
Cool.
All right.
One real quick thing too is
say
anything
closing
you wanna
statement.
But I mean, just about being a conduit or whatever it is. All I can say is that it's something. Christ did not force himself on anybody. And my my hope, as a priest, is to just show people that I'm invested and I'm in, and I really do. As I learn more about the church, as I experience the church more, I become more deeply invested in it myself. And that's all I want to do is share. The thing that I like about being a diocesan priest, and a diocesan priest is a guy who lives with his people in an area, in a neighborhood. You're with those, is you're sharing your faith with those people. This is who you're connected with, but it's not forced. And that's that's one thing I maybe hope people would take away. Is a lot of times people feel that like the church or God is forcing himself on them. And he's totally not at all. And we feel like God's so mean. He's always going to take me apart. And he's just going to really be on me for everything I screw up on. And that's not how God sees us as his children. When he sees us, when we screw up, when we sin, he doesn't say you're such a loser. It's you so can't do it. It's why'd you do that again? It's get out of my face. He does not do that at all. He looks at us and he says, why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you? Does not work. I can tell you this does not work. Would you not do that again? He wants good for us. He's not looking to whack us. It's not, because I think a lot of people get that. I think a lot of people see God as this vengeful God. It's why isn't he fixing? And the other thing about that, just real quickly, is why doesn't he fix the world? is because of this very thing I'm talking about. We're free.
Point.
Yeah.
We're free. Is that we really are free, and we don't understand. We don't believe that we're free. That we can tell God, I don't want you. That He's going to force Himself on us anyway. He doesn't. He really doesn't. And that's why that's why He's not going to step into the world and make everything into this little idyllic thing, because that means He takes away our freedom. If He makes everything right, then He takes away our stupidity and our willfulness and our ego and our creativity. He takes all this stuff away. He says, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So it's really out of love that He gives us free reign. But when we say, it's like, well, why don't you fix things? It's because we don't really know what we're asking for when we say that. It's like, fix it all. It's like, yeah, but then you're going to be my slaves then. That's not what I want.
Right.
You're my kids. I want to be able to love you. That's what I want for you.
Man, what a way to end it. Father Bob, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
We appreciate it. To
Thank you,
everyone
guys.
listening, we love you guys. The support we get,
Yeah,
the
love
text
you guys,
messages,
too.
hey, keep doing what you're doing. That means a ton to all of us. And I don't know, man. On that note, I think we got to end it.
Pray for your priest. Pray for priests. Pray for everybody. But priests need a lot of prayers. Do pray for them.
I will.
Yeah, we absolutely need your prayer.
Isn't that something that's the
Absolutely.
last thing I would ever thought of? To pray
I know,
for,
right?
Oh, man.
You know, you don't even think about that.
Oh, no, it's like especially.
Wow.
Especially. I mean, because, and again, not to keep going on and on, but a priest can do a lot of good, but a priest can do a lot of damage. I mean, and this is where a lot of people have been hurt over time. They go to a priest and they're like blown off, or they get the wrong impression, the wrong thing said. That is not what you want a priest to be. So your prayers are really, really important to keep priests on the path, to not screw up.
Mm-hmm.
We're human. So, I mean, the prayers are really, really important.
It's good to know. I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, really important.
Ordinary Legends Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook.
God
Thanks,
bless
Father
you
Bob.
guys.
We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
That was fun.
We love you, Father
Yeah,
Bob.
appreciate
you guys
Thank
too.
Appreciate it.
Be good.
Thank
God
you.
bless you.